Welcome, Technophiliacs. And before we begin, I want to offer my condolences to any of the 933 million owners of an Android device running Jelly Bean or earlier, for Google has decided not to patch a critical vulnerability in the WebView component, and you're pretty much screwed. I'm sorry you made poor life choices. And yes, I am an obnoxious Apple fanboy asshole. I am James Bruce. Hear me roar. I'm joined today by the same people who join me every week, and just to mix it up a bit because I'm crazy, I'll introduce Robert Weezerhan first. Rob, do you solemnly swear to not talk about the crew tonight?
Come back to me.
Oh, I'm also joined by Dave. What do you want to do tonight, Dave?
It's not tonight for me. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, yeah. There's that. But
when someone asks you what you want to do tonight, you are culturally bound to reply the same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
What is that even from? Is this like an old man reference that I don't get or something? I mean, like, or is this like a British thing? I don't know. I don't speak British. So, anyway. What I would like to do tonight is talk about cool video games. Can we do that? Can that be arranged? Do we have a medium on which we can go to and talk about video games?
No.
Oh, shit. Well, then, what the hell are we doing?
I thought we were here to talk about tech news.
That's the that's the old Technophilia. We used to do that, but we've moved along to bigger and better things.
But it's alright, because I worked it into the intro anyway, so I'm happy. And I got to take the piss out of Android owners. I mean, that's just a winning day for me, really.
I mean, I don't like Androids either, so if we want to just spend the next hour bashing Android, we could do that. Rob, where do you fall on that fence?
I'm at peace with my platform.
Which platform is that?
The Android one.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're an Android user, I don't want to make fun of your stuff.
What are you running? What version is it, Rob?
Let me check. I think it's Jelly Bean.
Oh shit!
No,
You're screwed.
Come back to me.
You're so
I don't
screwed.
remember.
Have we been playing something this week?
We've all been playing stuff this week. This is weird. Usually
right.
it's Rob talking about stuff, and then I'm like talking about some stupid phone game that I played for some reason.
And I'm like, I haven't played anything.
James is like, I peed on my Oculus and I thought it was real, but it wasn't real. And then the podcast ends, and we're like, we need a topic to talk about the fill time. So
one day we're gonna have to start calling him Oculus Bruce.
Weren't we gonna name your son that, James? Wasn't
Oculus Bruce?
That idea was floated for a while, but we couldn't get it over. I don't think his wife was down with it.
But, I hate middle names.
So according to the outline, I guess am I going first here? Normally Rob's first, but he put himself at the bottom this week. So he started from the bottom. Well, he started from the bottom, and now he's here.
Come on then, talk about a game we already talked about.
So I just wanted to mention real quick that I have been playing some Divinity Original Sin, and I don't know if I like that game yet or not. I got into like the first city where you're like trying to investigate that murder that happened. You know where I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm just kind of like walking around, like talking to people and like trying to figure out how to solve this murder. I figured out with the stuff with the guy that runs the graveyard, and that's kind of where I left off. So yeah, I guess I'm just not used to like the complete and utter lack of direction, and I'm kind of like lost and confused and just kind of flopping around like a fish.
Did you try going outside the city yet?
I went outside the city right away when I got to the city, and then died instantaneously.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then I got to the point where I got a third follower and was able to go out the city from that one entrance that I actually could go out and do okay. And I kind of been exploring a little bit out there, but I think I picked a weird time to start playing this game because at the same time I am working with the Dragon Age, which we'll talk about again in a bit, and they're very similar, though Dragon Age is a little bit more has a little more direction to it, and kind of suits my RPG experience that I've never played a game like Divinity Original Sin, so Dragon Age kind of is more up my alley, I think.
Divinity's a real slow burn, though, isn't it? Like, it just goes on and on. James, you've played more of it than I have, too. What'd you think?
I don't know if I played more of it. I kind of stopped just before Christmas, just for time constraints. I meant to go back to it, but I never did. I don't know, it doesn't seem to have that sticking power completely with me.
I think you got to get far in it before it really grabs you. Because, I mean, this game was on a lot of people's Games of the Year's lists all around the internet, and I'm sure there was good reason for that. People whose opinions I value, like Patrick Klepek, he had it very high on his list. So
it is very difficult.
Definitely difficult.
Having the freedom, you're basically confined by your level because you get your ass kicked.
I think what happened to me, I really enjoyed the combat in the game, and I think what happened was I got to the city where they expect me to do all these missions that are not really combat based, and I was like, man, I want to go fight stuff because it's fun to do the fighting of the stuff, and then it kind of I hit this wall. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm just walking around talking to people.
Oh, I had that problem when I briefly played the game when it first came out. Okay, Dave, here's what you do: crank the difficulty down one step.
Mm-hmm.
Walk out the door and beat stuff up. Because when you crank the difficulty down one step, you can kill the things that are out there. Just go for it, man.
No, I still couldn't do it.
Yeah, just the fact of the matter is, there are some purist people who will get on your case for not playing it on the quote-unquote intended difficulty. Just do it. Just experience the game.
All right,
I really stuck on a lot of the missions. I just couldn't figure out what the hell it was talking about. There's a lot of story there, and it can be quite intimidating, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I definitely would say that right now I am right down the middle on the game. Right in the middle. I don't like it. I don't dislike it. What happens in the next hour or two of playing it is going to determine whether or not I keep going or not. But for the time being, as we'll get to when I get to my next game, I'm very focused on the Dragon Ages right now, and that is all I'm going to be playing for the time being. So Divinity is going to hit the back burner. So we'll get to that in a bit. Why I love Dragon Age so much, which we've talked about Dragon Age before, but now I actually have stuff to say that's relevant.
All right, well, I fucked around with Windows 10 for about half hour before realizing it's a buggy piece of shit, and then I downgraded back to Windows 7. So I got to play a little VR demo called Vox Machinae? I don't know, which is like a mech warrior type game, and it's quite highly praised among the people playing demos right now, the community, but it works really well in the Rift. The feeling of presence that you get from being in your little cockpit, you can look around and see all your controls really up close and personal. It's really nice, but it did make me realize how utterly low resolution the Oculus Rift really still is. Because you're like on a game like this, you're looking so far off into the distance, trying to find all the other mechs, that it's just impossible. They're just little. They're a few pixels big, right? It's so blurry, and it reinforces my belief that the killer app for VR, at least for first generation VR, is not going to be these kind of epic scale space and battling things and mech combat, but really close quarter RPGs. Things like Minecraft work really well because it's naturally blocky anyway, right? And for the most part, it's really close in your field of vision. So wandering around architecture and castles is amazing because it's all really close quarters. Playing with lightsabers, stuff like that is awesome because it's all close combat. It happens near to you. But the moment you step into a cockpit, the cockpit itself looks awesome. Everything outside looks so crap. The illusion breaks down and it's just not that impressive anymore. And that's a damn shame.
Is it like low res textures, low poly count objects? What are we talking?
It's just the resolution of the Rift itself.
Oh, okay.
Like once you're up close to them, it looks fine. But trying to look at something in the distance on something that low resolution, you really start to see the screen door effect, and you can see the individual pixels when you're looking at it like that, which just doesn't happen when something is in close quarters to you, when you're more engaged with it like that. So this is a problem it's going to face, I think.
Yeah, it's still such a, first generation product. Like we've had VR headsets before, but the Rift is kind of the first one that's approaching commercial viability, right?
Sure, but it's going to be a really long time before you can fit a 4K screen affordably into one of these things, right? And that's what you need to be able to play these kind of long-distance, epic-scaled things. So
It's
I
a
wish
baby.
people would just forget about that for now and start developing, close-quarter RPGs and things like that, adventure games that are a bit hemmed into an environment.
Mm.
There you go. Oculus is still a failure. That's what we can conclude.
It's not a failure. It doesn't work with epic space battles and mech games.
Oculus is a failure!
It is an evolving experience, right, James?
Yes.
Well, I guess I could talk about a video game. I could talk about one Elite Dangerous.
Hey, I heard that works on Oculus.
Yeah, that's another one of those shitty-looking Innocuous games.
Oh man! If you get your hands on it, James, I would try it, because even without anything attached to my face, Elite Dangerous is extremely immersive. I've put maybe a dozen hours into it at this point. That game's intimidating, like really, really intimidating. There is so much to control with your spacecraft. There's like landing gear to deploy and lasers to pop out and scanners to run, and you've got like
that doesn't sound fun.
Well, you've got like all these computer consoles to your front, to your left, to your right. The ships, when they fly, they have to like bank weirdly too, and they give you tons of control over like what direction your ship is going and what it's facing and which way it's facing. But the challenge of that is they expect you to use it, right? Because like any AI ships you chase down or any players you fight with, they are also capable of those things. So it is kind of an MMORPG experience. It's always online, but you can click to play in solo mode where you only see NPCs, or you can click to play open play mode where you see other players as well. But the reason you have to be always connected is because even if you're playing solo, player behavior affects the market values of commodities and things like that. But
that really pissed people off who backed the project, because they promised an offline mode.
Yeah, and then they kind of
a
changed
single
it to
player mode at least. But yeah,
Well, there is a single player mode though. It's just
but it requires you to be online.
you got to be on.
So
Yeah,
once
but it's
they turn the servers off, you're screwed.
But it's a PC game. Who the hell's PC is not on the internets?
No, it's not about that. It's about when they turn off support.
Right, that you can no
Games like
longer...
this are designed to be epic and to last for a really long time. They're the
Yeah,
kind
but
of
you know
things
that it's gonna
you'll
last.
still find people.
They're not
going to
turn support off before like 10 years or something. I mean, support is going to be there for a good amount of time.
But what happens when it's off? 10 years is unrealistic. But like after 5 years, people want to stay it, and they're like, "Sorry, we've turned the server off." That kills the game for you. You just simply cannot play it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Patchy points out in the chat that it's nice until you want to dock your ship and the station is full, which I heard that can be an annoyance. But that's if you play single player, the stations won't be full, right? You'll always be able to dock.
You'll see some traffic going in and out, but I've never had a full station experience when playing solo mode. But yeah, in the online thing, like space stations have a limited amount of parking spots, and if they're all full, you do have to just sit there until another player leaves.
But I feel like that actually is in its own like shitty weird way, like that is extra immersive.
Right. And the game, the place where the game succeeds phenomenally is in that immersion factor. That like when you throttle up the engines, your ship rattles in this really crazy kind of way. If you've got a good subwoofer, you'll feel the bass when you like come out of hyperspace and you like you whip into the view of a star, and they make you like come out of hyperspace wherever you come out of it. You come out really close to a star in the system that you arrive in. So you've always got this like big looming ball of fire right in front of your view screen as you get in.
Yeah, I will never play this game, but I am fascinated by it, and it seems like a game that I want to watch.
€60 on it.
I want to watch people play it on Twitch, but I don't want to play it.
Yeah,
it's £40, I think, and it's so massive. Like it is, they took real data for like 20,000 or something actual stars in the universe, and then used that as a model to extrapolate out the estimated 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. And it's all those stars, all those extra stars are like procedurally generated from the data, assuming that real data about the Milky Way can be extrapolated to the rest of the galaxy. So there's just an impossibly large number of stars to visit. And once you get a fuel scoop, you can just start skimming fuel off those stars. And you can start exploring out to all the weird reaches and finding whatever you want.
So is that it? You just explore? Is there no fighting?
There's dog fights.
The progression of the game is based on three things: trading, fighting, and exploration.
It's like Civ, basically. Like those are like the quote unquote like wins, right? You can one of those three is how you advance.
Kind of similar, yeah. It's kind of just a big space playground right now. There's more features coming, but for the time being, it really is just it's kind of what you make of it. You got to be a little self-motivated to make the most of it.
It's a make your own fun game, no question. It is a make your own story.
When you say exploration, are we talking like you get to name your own planets, or is it more of a personal exploration thing?
Exploration is arrive in system, scan system for unusual astronomical objects, approach those objects and log the scan information, and then find people to sell the scan information to.
But presumably everyone else has already done this.
Yeah, it's repeatable stuff. Like I'm still in very populated systems, but I can sell information. I'm still picking up and selling information in places that are very populated. So yeah, in that sense, it's not kind of one and done. But I mean, theoretically, things could change in various systems, and different factions could come to prominence. So I can see why you might be able to sell information multiple times.
I'm still looking forward to Star Citizen more than this.
Me too. But we'll have to see where it goes. Who
knows when Star Citizen's coming out?
Right. And at what they raised like $70 million. I saw a great statistic for Star Citizen. Star Citizen, by the way, Star Citizen is approaching $70 million
without having released a game.
Bullshit.
India sent an object into space for only $4 million more. Like, it is approaching the cost of actual space programs.
That's insane. And then don't forget No Man's Sky too. Apparently, this is the new Minecraft is space exploration. The new here's a world where you can use a pickaxe. Minecraft, Terraria, whatever else came like that. The space exploring is that now. That's the new hotness, the new trend.
Yeah. But if you look at what's going on in the video here, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I recommend going over to Twitch and watching a few Elite Dangerous streams to see if it's your thing. It's definitely a lot of lonely floating through the void, waiting to arrive at places and just seeing if something
I don't have
attacks
time
you.
for that.
Yeah, seeing if something attacks you along the way. But if it's the thing you're looking for, just the sound and the graphics and the interaction with stations and the degree that you have to be able to really control this ship to land it properly and take it off and fly it through tight quarters. That's all super immersive. It almost feels like it's this game from the future where it's we got into a real starfighter so we could model this so you could play it in your home. That's the kind of feeling, the amount of things you have to fiddle with to make this starfighter work.
It sounds so frustrating.
It is. I am exhausted after about 2 hours of playing that game.
And Giant Bomb posted an hour-long quick look with Jeff and Drew. And if you know the Giant Bomb crew, this is Drew's kind of shit right here. He was playing it with his. He said I forget the model. He said a DX 500 or whatever, fancy super joystick, and he had track IR
this is
on.
a lot of fun if you're into those fancy flight joysticks.
Yeah, and he had his track IR on, so when he turned his head to the left, it actually showed. That's how he looked at his menus on the left. So he's hella into these games. So if you want to hear an hour of him kind of basically him who's crazy into these games and Jeff who thinks they're bullshit, I would recommend checking out the.
Was he not even playing it on an Oculus Rift?
No, he's playing it on a PC.
That's dumb.
Because it doesn't look good on the Oculus. It looks like garbage, like you said.
It's one of those things where if you're really into like accessorizing a game, this is the perfect game for that because you can do flight sticks, you can do track IR if you want to track head movement. There's a lot of guys on Twitch. There's a lot of guys on Twitch who are adding voice control to their ship so they can say stuff like deploy landing gear or scan system, and the computer will respond and do all that. So there's a lot of people having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it seems.
It's an enthusiast's game.
I am. Yeah, it's like Euro Truck Simulator in space, right?
But remarkably more stressful. Like I can relax while playing Euro Truck. Elite Dangerous is actually legitimately stressful. When I'm done, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just sat there and did that. But then then a day later, I want to come back and do a little more because it's so immersive. So, yeah, I recommend you check it out on Twitch to see if it's your thing. It's not going to be for everyone.
There you go. Cool. James, take us home, brother.
Have you been playing something?
Have I been playing something? Boy,
something else.
This is the good stuff. So now, I've been passively kind of like talking about Dragon Age on and off for the last couple weeks. I'm like, it's Dragon Age, it's good, whatever, blah blah blah. But I wasn't really sold on it yet. And now I finally have hit the point where I am fully sold on Dragon Age Inquisitions, and I think it is awesome, and I love everything about that game. So I hit the point where you move on to what will be your main base, and I got the specializations for my character. So I got to the point where, I can actually pick, something weird is happening to my computer right now, guys, and it is making this broadcast look funny. You guys are blinking and stuff, and
epilepsy warning.
I don't know what is happening, and I can't click on OBS to do anything about it. So this is great. Thanks. I mean, not OBS. Thanks, XSplit. You have done something that I don't know what you're doing, and I don't know how to fix it.
Admit it, you're playing League of Legends in the background, aren't you?
League of Legends? I don't play that fucking game.
Oh. Sorry, was that a bit insulting?
I don't know what to do right now. Right. Anyway, so let's just hope it fixes itself.
Can you cut to Dragon Age gameplay footage, perhaps?
I can't do anything.
You can do anything.
I can't do anything in XSplit. Anything I click on in XSplit, nothing happens.
Okay, we seem to have stopped flickering.
Yeah, so we're just gonna have to stay on this scene for the rest of it because I can't click on anything.
Oh, Dave, you broke it.
I did broke it. And now you're flickering again. What the fuck is... If I close XSplit, it's going to kill the broadcast, so... that's not good. So, we're just going to work with it. So, anyway, Dragon Age Inquisition. That is a game that I absolutely have fallen in love with now. Once you get to the point where you actually have the specializations and you can kind of really fine-tune how your character plays. So, for me, I chose a Rift Mage. And... so that's kind of like a push and pull character. You pull in the powers of the rift to move the enemies, hold them in place. So you set traps on the ground, and you kind of hold them in place on the traps to keep them where you want them and stuff. And it is just, I love that game. Everything about that game is just, they've really gotten back to what made the older Dragon Age games good. Still not quite as hard as the old Dragon Age games, but I would say closer than the previous ones were. So,
what did you think about the big complaint that I voiced about it a few episodes back? The whole MMORPG generic content you do between the story stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Because I feel like I kind of expect it from a game like Dragon Age. I kind of expect to have the whole there's always going to be some filler quests in those kind of games, and I kind of I feel like you know, if this was real life, not everything that I was doing would be like some epic world-changing event. Sometimes, you know, as the leader, like I'm sure the president has to do like stupid bullshit all the time that is not like, this is the decision that is going to change America forever. It's like, yeah, this is a decision that's going to be a decision, you know, it's going to influence a few people. So like, I feel like that's kind of what the Inquisitor would do. He's got to go do some bullshit every now and then, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the gulf between the good content in that game and the not so great content in that game is kind of wide. Like, no, I do not want to walk around your open world and close fade rifts for an hour. I want to get on with the good writing that you put all this work into.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do a ton of that stuff though. Like, you do have to do a little bit to get your levels up, but it's not like endless amounts of that kind of content. There's a decent amount of it though. So I like closing the fade rifts. I think they're fun to do. So because I enjoy the combat of the game so much, maybe the class you chose, maybe the combat didn't grab you the same, so you didn't feel as enjoyable just going around and fighting shit. I don't know. But either way, I could definitely see where there is a little bit of grinding, but like games like Final Fantasy have grinding too. Like it's part of the RPG, you know, it's part and parcel with the RPG, I think. And I also am a WoW player, so I'm used to doing garbage bullshit quests just because it's what you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've said my piece on it.
I mean, would you prefer the game was like 20 hours or 30 hours shorter? And just the story stuff?
Yes, I would, actually. I would love it if that game just got to the best parts and got me to the thing that I love about Dragon Age, which is making relevant story-impacting decisions. I
mean, really, they could have implemented that without even changing the game. All they would have to have done was remove, like, the power requirement, and then...
Yeah, make it a mode.
Yeah, like, so then weirdos like me who want to go close every Fade Rift... We can go close every Fade Rift and there's nothing stopping us, but people like you who want to get to the point can just not do the bullshit.
Yeah, but as it stands, like, the part isn't that leveling's the problem. You can be perfectly leveled for the content you want to do and not have enough of that political power resource to move on to the next part of the story. Like, you know, some of the story beats take, like, 20 power or 30 power to open. Yeah. And when you're getting, like, you know, 1 to 4 power per event you do, that means you might have to spend an hour to 90 minutes, like, you know, doing that stuff. I mean, and let me just make this clear for people who are in the podcast and haven't, you know, read the review that I did on it. I still recommend the game. Like, the good parts of the game are good enough to outweigh the bad ones, but I'm not quite as glowing on it as Dave is.
Yeah. No, that works. That's fair. All right, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much my recommend. Like I said, I have also not finished the game, so that stuff may grow tired to me. Also, you are further than me, so we'll see what happens when I make it all the way to the end. If I'm still excited about that stuff, but I'd say as of this point, I highly recommend the game.
Right. So I know this is kind of shocking, but I actually bought another game this week. No, I didn't think you would. I bought Stronghold Crusader 2, which apparently came out at the end of last year. I was a huge fan of the original Stronghold, you know, but I lost touch with the series after that when I was in Japan with better things to do. So rediscovering the joy of castle building has been kind of cool, especially compared to my last foray into resource management, which was Settlers 7, which was an utter disaster. But the thing is, honestly, Stronghold Crusader 2 is kind of shit. Like, ridiculously unfair. And I'm all for strong AI players, but when they're playing with an uneven matched share of resources, and they can literally just pump out units every 5 minutes, like an army that would take you an hour to build, that's just completely unfair, and it's all done on a script. So, like, they've got their armies pouring in from the side of the map, and you know what? That just sucks. So, and then they add in this arbitrary timer, like, you've got to do this mission in 15 minutes just because we said you did. You know, fuck you, I don't enjoy that. That's not fun. I want to explore the intricacies of your resource chains, which I'm going to add aren't very intricate at all, right? You build an orchard the size of a small house and suddenly everyone is fed. You know, whatever. It scratches a castle building itch that I've been having, but ultimately left me feeling unfulfilled. And it's also buggy as shit. I was trying to get through the first skirmish mission. I prefer skirmish because it matches you up more evenly, right? It says, you know, you're starting with this much cash, they're starting with that much, you've got a map that looks like this. That's fair. There's no cheating there. But just before the show, I was trying that, and after an hour of playing, I was just about to slaughter their king, and it crashed straight to the desktop. So I'm kind of pissed, to be honest. I ain't going to be touching it again.
Man. So what you said you had a better time with a previous Stronghold title, right? What was so good about that one?
I played the very original one, which was like 15 years ago, so maybe I've got a foggy memory of it being good, and maybe it was actually kind of crap, but I remember enjoying it. And this... It got like a 7-ish, I think, on the scores I was looking at. It's kind of meh.
Yeah.
I thought... Right.
He didn't want to go too crazy with it, so.
And to be honest, I'm not too keen on the setting either. The whole religious combat in a desert is not that appealing. And obviously I should have known that, because it is Stronghold Crusader after all. But it's just not that great.
I just realized my mic was muted for the beginning of this because when I reopened the program, it opened it at my old settings, which was muted. So
it's a shame. Someone needs to build a good castle builder. With
Do
good
they
resources.
though? Is it a genre that people are chomping at the bit to get their hands on again? I don't know.
I think there are people out there who could really enjoy it.
Maybe you should kickstart it.
I'm not a game designer. Although I did design a couple of games when I was
anybody could kickstart anything. Just say, I got an idea. We're going to make it. I don't know how we're going to make it. We're just going to do it. Put it on the Kickstarter. The people will come and you'll be millionaires.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're, yeah.
Is this a real-time strategy you've been playing, Rob? I don't know that. What's that?
Oh, X3 Terran Conflicts.
Sounds like it should be a real-time strategy game.
Well, actually, it's kind of it's another game like Elite Dangerous. Actually, X3 Terran Conflict it was released in like 2010, 2012 or something. So it's a little older. But actually, if you want something that is substantially cheaper than Elite Dangerous and a touch less complicated, I would say, at least as far as the actual ship piloting goes. X3 might actually be a really good pick for you. I'm enjoying it a bunch. It is a single-player offline experience with like simulated economy and NPCs and all that kind of stuff. But that game is not just about like flying your ship around and accomplishing things. It's about building your entire empire. So you might start as one ship, but through trading and stuff, you might build a trade fleet, and then you can automate those ships in your trade fleet from the HUD of your current ship. And then you can actually work on like, well, I would like to buy, an asteroid mining station and fire that thing up. And so then you have to like, pick a sector to put it in, and it'll then start supplying ore to other NPC stations around it. And you can, like, the amount of scale shift in X3 Terran Conflict is actually pretty incredible. You can go from just being a lone ship all the way up to like owning this huge economy and having a capital ship full of fighters and having like a fleet that follows you around to get things done. I'm really impressed with the breadth of the experience. There's still no kind of landing on planets kind of stuff that goes on, which is a real shame because that adds a ton of character to a space game. It's just space unless you see how the people live. And that's one thing that Freelancer, a really old PC game that you can't really find anywhere digitally, unfortunately, did really well, because even though you were flying around space a lot, you would dock with planets, and there would be this little video of your ship coming down to the planet. You would see, like, different buildings based on the culture. You could go into the bar at the space station or the commodities exchange at the space station. There were these little rooms that the camera panned into before it took you to your menus. But X3 is super cool, and it is another one of those whatever you want it to be space games. Like if you just want to run a single trading hauler and fly from sector to sector trading stuff, you can. If you want a dogfight, you can. You want to build up really big and do the trading empire or the big economic strategy or the capital ship flight, you can do all that stuff. And so that I'd actually, if you want more immediate fun than Elite Dangerous, I actually recommend that one. Because it gets to the point much faster than Elite Dangerous, and it's not nearly as intimidating.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Rob,
yeah.
you know what the theme of your games this week are, Rob?
It's dudes in space.
Hold on, I gotta sing it for you. You're all about the space, no landing. That's from a song.
What?
You know the song. I'm all about that bass, no treble.
Shit, really? Is that what you were doing?
Yes.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
Yes.
Perhaps
See?
it was the monotone voice the entire way through.
Well, that's how I'm not a very good singer. You don't want to hear me actually sing. It sounds like nails on a chalkboard. You'll want to rip your ears out.
If we could ban any future attempts at pop culture relevance from all future episodes of Technophilia, I'd be totally on board with that.
Listen,
bring you more.
You're just because I'm gonna win Grammys for that song doesn't mean you gotta be a hater. All right.
Before we move on to this week's topic, can I change it to my topic, which is recommend to me a current RTS, a recent RTS, which is the best? What should I play?
That's not a topic.
It's a fucking topic. I'm asking our listeners, our viewers.
All right, well, you can ask them that, but I don't think that's a discussion topic.
But it's a discussion topic for me.
Well, this is not your personal recommendation show.
It is now. Recommend me an RTS.
Isn't the standard? There are no RTSs. Everybody makes turn-based games now. RTSs are dead.
Everybody makes MOBAs now. Get on board.
Yeah,
God,
just play Dota.
I don't want to play that shit. I want a real real-time strategy.
Hey, guess what? I uninstalled Dota the other day.
Good. Did you realize you'd wasted 20 years of your life?
I wish I had played Dota for 20 years. I'd probably be professional making money to play. I uninstalled it because they've been having so many server problems, and I had a bunch of games where I played 45 minutes of the game, and then it lagged and said, oh, we've detected poor network conditions. This game doesn't count. So I had it happen, and then so we quit, started a new game. Happened again, quit, started a new game, and then the game lagged, and all of a sudden it came back from the lag, and I was dead, and it didn't do the thing that said it didn't count. So I quit, uninstalled Dota, and haven't played in 4 days since then. I was like, I'm done with this garbage.
That was a riveting play-by-play of your Dota.
It was. I felt bad because I was playing with Jess and some of my friends, and they got mad because if you quit a game and you abandon it, they also take and abandon your party members. So they took and abandoned because I quit. So. Unfortunately, I wasn't streaming that, so I wish I could have video of me rage quitting out of Dota and uninstalling it, but I wasn't streaming it. So
I think that James, I don't think this is a heart change on Dave's part. I think that when the Dota withdrawal symptoms start to kick in, he'll be back.
It's more so when I see on Reddit that they finally got their shit together and their servers are working. I heard
the kiddies are playing League of Legends now anyway, Dave. Why aren't you getting on board with that?
League is much more popular than Dota from a player perspective, but I played League and it's not a very good game. So
they had this thing on BBC Sport the other day about online gaming as a sport.
Yeah, man, they're big money in that shizzle now.
Yeah, I know.
So it's funny because even though I'm not playing Dota, I still have been watching Pro Dota, and it's weird to reconcile myself to be like, well, I'm like, people watch football, but they don't play football. Most people, all my friends are obsessed with, they're all watching the NFL playoffs this past Sunday, but none of them play football. So is it strange that I'm watching Dota and not playing it? I don't know. Is that weird? What do you think, guys? It's weird?
Yes, I don't think so. No, MOBAs. One thing I credit MOBAs with, and I don't play them, but they are some of the most watchable competitive video gaming. Once you kind of get the idea of what goes on, and there's lanes, there's towers, there's jungling. Once you get the basics of MOBAs, they're actually extremely watchable, and the big plays are actually really exciting.
Dave, someone's recommending Planetary Annihilation. Give me a video of that up here.
Oh, I've heard of Planetary Annihilation.
I think it's a sequel to Total Annihilation, which was ages old.
Isn't that the one? So I think I've seen video of Planetary Annihilation. Isn't that one where you're like going from in this new one anyway? You're actually going from planet to planet. So you like build your base on a planet, and then you start firing at people in the space between, and then you like launch invasion forces to the planets that are adjacent. I think I saw some footage of this.
That sounds kind of cool.
It looks very large in scale, but not very like pretty. With like a lot of the units don't look like they're there's much to them. But I guess it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's a matter of how deep the strategy is, right?
This doesn't look like the thing that I thought I saw. So
This is not riveting me, to be honest. This video.
No RTS looks riveting in video. They're all very
what? I'm
simple
quite
looking.
tempted to go back and install Command and Conquer Generals and just up the resolution, because that was an amazing game.
I'm sure there's plenty of other games you can play that are good. I'm sure there's plenty.
Maybe that was just as good as it's going to get, and I'm stupid if I think there's anything more recent that's going to be better.
Well, maybe the RTS is kind of having a falling out of favor. That could be. I mean, StarCraft was a big.
Oh yeah,
deal,
why don't you just play StarCraft?
Yeah, you played StarCraft 2?
I mean, there's literally no better RTS than StarCraft in terms of like.
Well, there is Command and Conquer. That was infinitely better.
No, well, I mean, Command and Conquer is infinitely like easier and less strategic, I guess. But
oh, that's hilarious! I can't believe you just said that.
That's not really debatable. Like, there's Command and Conquer is build as many dudes as you possibly can and throw them at your enemy.
StarCraft.
Nope, I'm not even going to get into that fight.
It's
StarCraft
true.
2, even right now, is in the number 11 slot on Twitch. Like it is not totally off the radar.
Well, yeah, it's still esporty. That's why it is.
I did play a lot of it back in the day, but it's
StarCraft 1, right?
I would be happy to play it and kick your ass. I mean,
I have it, but I don't like RTS. I think they're boring as shit.
That's just because you lose, because you suck at long-term strategic planning.
Well, it's not that long-term.
You just want to send your little guy down a little road and click on things. I mean,
StarCraft.
Any old idiot can do that.
A good StarCraft game lasts like
based on their genre choices. This whole podcast is going to fall apart.
Oh, Company of Heroes. Yeah, that's actually an RTS that I like, but it's that's smaller. Kazlin in the chat recommends it, but that's
actually.
That's smaller, like, army sizes, though. Like, you control, like, little squads of, like, 6 or something, and then they're, like, little groups, and you... But I like that.
I have some friends who speak pretty highly of Company of Heroes, too. I haven't played it myself, but I have some friends who really love it.
It has, like, capture points like Call of Duty, but in an RTS. I remember I thought that was a cool mechanic.
It's in my Steam library, and I don't know why, because I don't remember buying it.
That could have been one of those ones where they did a free weekend, and you installed it on the free weekend, and then it stays in your library forever, even though you don't own it.
No, but
like I have like Saints Row in my library, but I don't own it. But I downloaded it on a free weekend, and then it stayed there.
Oh, that could be the case.
Stupid games. Anyway, I think you just got to accept that RTSs are dead, bro. It's either StarCraft or nothing. Blizzard yet again found another genre that they could just put the stranglehold on, and now nobody else bothers to make games in that genre anymore.
That's just sad.
So I have a proposal. I know we have a conversation topic in our document, but Twitch viewer Marty McFly had mentioned earlier. He said, "Do you think 2014 was a step forward or a step backward for gaming?" And that might be kind of more interesting than what we.
Sure, I'd much rather talk about the viewer suggested topic anyway. That's more interesting.
Wait, does that mean we're going to be talking about Gamergate?
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
I don't want to go there again.
Well, I think we could talk in broad strokes whether or not it was a step forward or a step back.
Well, are we talking about the culture surrounding games? Or are we actually talking about gaming? Like,
I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I think they go hand in hand.
Put the focus directly on the games and not talk about the culture surrounding them. I think we're fine.
Sure. All right. Well, I'll start and say that I think there was no step. It did not go forward. It did not go backward. It stayed. I feel like nothing has changed from 2013 to 2014, from the end of 2013 to the end of 2014. Now into 2015, I feel that there was really no move. It was just the new consoles were already out. There was no major PC hardware changes, and DirectX 12 is coming, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Oculus.
I gotta laugh at this comment in the chat. I am Levaticus says Wii U was finally considered a legitimate console.
Thanks to awful games, he says, though.
When was that considered? Has that
A
been
lot of
considered
people
a
are saying that the
console?
Wii U is finally here now.
Yeah.
Really?
That seems to be the narrative around this system, is that it's here.
Bayonetta 2 does not
Bayonetta
make
2.
the Wii U a legitimate console. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Like, there's no indication that pattern is going to be repeated. You know, publishing games that are of appeal to a harder core
Smash
audience. Like,
2 came out.
It is still the Nintendo box where third parties languish.
Smash also came out.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you're either in or you're out on the Nintendo pitch, which is we make excellent first-party games, and that's about it.
Unfortunately, I want to be in, but I guess I'm out because I owned a Wii for like a month, and then I was like, man, people are still buying these things for like 3 times what they're selling for, even used. So I guess I'll sell mine. So I sold it, and then I never bought a Wii U. So
I'm gonna say it was a step forward because of the Oculus DK2.
yeah, but it didn't come out yet. So that's a tiny little blip that
just
didn't
the
actually.
Damn it,
development
James.
because that kickstarted a bunch of games being designed for it. So that's a step forward as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but it didn't. It's not a step forward that anybody noticed or anybody that is relevant noticed. It's a step forward in a
Everyone the world
tiny.
over is talking about it, and you're on crack.
It's a step forward in a tiny niche that is owned by a few thousand people. That does not qualify as a step forward for gaming as a whole. Now, if a new console comes out that, like, when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out, that is a step forward because millions of people bought it. But the 26 people who own a DK2 does not qualify as a step forward.
Now, I was going to say, actually, 2014 was a step back because we realized that these new consoles that were only just released the year before
Are
are actually
obsolete.
kind of underpowered and shit and obsolete already.
Yep.
So in that way, it was a step back.
Step forward for PC gaming, though, because people realize that if you want the latest and greatest, it's normally when a new console comes out, the PC is quickly like forgotten. That's kind of the cycle of life. Is that at the end of the cycle, everybody's like, these games are shit. They look like shit, but I can play them on the PC and they look awesome. And then the new ones come out and everybody's like, yeah, but the consoles are so much more convenient. But I feel like that shift didn't happen as much this time. A lot of people are still playing PC games.
Well, it's still an argument where price point is king, right? Like you can't build a $400 PC worth having, but if you're willing to drop like $800 to $1,000 on your tower, then you're going to be living like head and shoulders above the console crowd. It's a matter
I
of
feel like $400 would upgrade your PC to something good enough nowadays. Though.
I just bought a $230 graphics card for my console, for my PC, and now I can run pretty much every game that's on the market right now at least high, most of them on ultra, and that was only $200 and something.
Guy in the chat room has the other good point again. I am Levaticus. DDoSing was a step back. I mean, it showed us how weak these console networks, and I guess if it was PC networks as well, they could equally do that, right?
Yeah, you can't.
So it just showed us how weak these networks were, and how
you can't rely on your games working because they're
a couple of little teenagers can drag down an entire network.
Well, actually, that's a whole other issue. You can't rely on your games working. Think about the amount of games that came out that were just straight broken as shit. That's a step back. The fact that we started with this whole day one patch thing where, well, once the day one patch came out, they were good, but they worked. Now it's like month one patch, maybe it'll be working. Like Assassin's Creed is finally like where it should be, and the Master Chief Collection is finally working, kind of. As far as I know, it's kind of working. It's still not perfect. So that was another big step back, I think, is the prevalence of companies just like, well, fuck it, we got to ship it, so ship what we got.
Right. It's all about release dates that get set in stone months in advance, and so then if something's not good to go, they still have to hit that. And so I mean, I am often recklessly optimistic about these sorts of things, but the more we talk about it, I guess 2014 really was kind of a holding pattern year. I think certainly we saw some promise. We saw Shadow of Mordor that got a lot of praise for doing one pretty innovative thing really well, and it's a thing that took the Assassin's Creed Batman formula and actually like made it more reactive and more living. I think
it was kind of like what GTA 3 did for open world games, but not quite to that massive scale of change. But it was that same like breath of fresh air. Like, man, there is still things that can be done in an open world game that are new and exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see more stuff like that. Like, I'm not as excited about seeing. First of all, like, even if we talked about earlier the degree to which, these consoles aren't really a huge leap in graphics and stuff, and they're basically obsolete compared to PCs still. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the development that happens in video games is done for PC and the current generation of consoles. So the previous consoles that we had for like 8 years, that was like an 8-year console cycle, those were hamstringing the kind of games we were getting because people were developing with Xbox 360 and PS3 as the known, minimum spec that these games had to run on. So what I'm actually more excited about, more than graphics and sound and immersion and that kind of stuff, is the use of this new processing power to create new gameplay experiences. And I think, when we saw Shadow of Mordor come out and the Nemesis system literally isn't on the previous gen versions, but it is on the next gen, that's the kind of thing that excites me. The idea that we're doing new gameplay experiences with this power that we couldn't do before.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Things like Oculus Rift.
I mean, Oculus Rift was a step forward for gaming 2 years ago. Now, Oculus Rift is in a holding pattern, just like 2014 was, where when there's a final release, that will be the step forward. But for the time being, it is just kind of like, I see what they're doing, and let's hope that they do something good with it, And yeah, so I stand by. I say it's for me. It was either a not step or a very tiny shuffle backwards, if anything, with all
step
the
back for consoles, a step forward for PCs.
Even yeah, I guess PCs really didn't have nearly as much of the DDoSing stuff. I mean, Assassin's Creed was still broken on PC, but they didn't even have the Halo games. So I guess PC was a slight step forward, console a slight step back. That's my
Does
assessment.
Steam manage their the multiplayer servers for games, or is that generally done by Steam games themselves?
Generally by the games themselves, but like in the case of Dota, which has been messed up, that's obviously Valve because that's their game. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I don't think as far as I know, Rob might know better, but as far as I know, it's not like Xbox where it is Xbox servers. It is the game's their own server. Steam is just the store that sells the game, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Steam is managing the multiplayer, unless they've got that as like an optional Steam solution. Yeah, where you can have them manage that. But I'm not totally sure about it. I can't speak to it.
Yeah. So. Unfortunately,
I got a question. Isn't there a Steam service for your saved games?
Yes, Steam Cloud.
Steam Cloud. Mm-hmm.
See, and why the hell doesn't that work with all the games?
I think developers have to pay to put that in their games, don't they? Isn't that like part of the Steam tool set you have to pay for if you're making a game? Or
I do not know how that works. I wish I could say I did.
I can't imagine Valve is just giving developers server space for the players to store games on for free. It probably is like a cut of this.
Saved game is a huge file.
Well, not one, but if your game's real popular and you sell 2 million copies, that adds up to some pretty big files. If you add them all up, 2 million 1 megabyte files is 2 million megabytes. That's a lot of megabytes. Actually, it's not that many megabytes.
Actually nothing. It's 2 terabytes. It's nothing, is it?
2 terabytes is something. That's some storage.
That's like half a hard disk.
But I don't think the saves are 1 megabyte. I just threw that example out there.
No, I think they're less than that.
What do you know about it? You're not an expert. You don't know shit.
I know lots of shit.
You don't know poop. All right,
someone's
so
saying Hatred is back on Steam. That would be a step forward for 2015.
I want to play Hatred now because the hype made me want to play it.
Am I an asshole for saying it looks fun? Maybe.
I mean, there's lots of games where you're killing.
I'm just double checking that because I searched for Hatred in the regular search window and it didn't pop up. So now
I think it's back on Steam Greenlight.
It is on Greenlight.
Yeah, I don't think it was
there's Search
actually.
Greenlight.
I don't think it was actually released.
Yeah, no, it's not out yet. But I'm seeing. Okay, it is listed on Greenlight, so it is still out there.
Yep.
I mean, I think I would. The question in the chat was, what about Steam removing Hatred and not Postal GTA? Well, first of all, Hatred's back on there at that point. But I also think Hatred is a whole nother level of like extremely serious glorification of violence. I don't argue it's right to be. I'm not coming at it from the angle of I want it gone from Steam. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I believe in the right of artists to express themselves. But at the same time, I don't want anything to do with that game because I feel like that level of glorifying violence isn't anything that I want anything to do with. And I think Hatred takes it to a whole other level than GTA 5 or Postal. Whereas GTA 5 and Postal do it with a comedic kind of over the topness that helps you not take it as seriously. Hatred seems dead intent on making it as suffering fixating as possible. I don't know a better way to say that, but
I still want to play it.
Yeah, I still want to play it. Mindless violence, sod it. The world needs a bit of that. In a video game, it needs a bit of that.
Okay, good.
Yes, specify,
Pretty
James.
good.
So real quick, wrapping up. So, James, you say step back for console, small step forward for PC.
Yep. I
say the same. And Rob, what's your final conclusion on this?
I'd say it stood pretty still. After we discussed it, I would say, I'm like I said, I'm usually super optimistic, but when you come right down to it, really not a ton happened.
All right. Well, there you go. So if you add me and James's up, it equals standstill. So basically, we're all in agreement. Right? One step forward, one step back means we haven't moved. So if you add it all up, we're all in agreement that we didn't move shit. So good job, gaming. You did nothing last year. Way to just passively exist.
All right. Let's move on and storm through a bit of news this month. Have we got any news this week?
We got some news on here. There's a little bit.
I added this first story, and I want someone else to answer it for me.
Well, we kind of mentioned this one earlier, the Civ Starships.
Did we mention this?
Well, it came up real quick when we were talking about Civ. Or was that me and Rob talking about that before? Was that when we were talking before the show?
We were talking about that offline.
God damn it, I can't keep track of stuff. So basically, it sounds to me like this is...
No one knows what we're talking about.
Sid Meier's...
My outline was, what the fuck is Sid Meier's Starship?
Starship, yes. So it sounds to me like this is Sid Meier capitalizing on the Starship craze, the same what we were mentioning before, how this is like the new Minecraft.
But this is not going to be an exploration thing, is it?
They have not said much.
As far as I understood the pitch, it is a turn-based strategy game in which you manage a fleet of starships, leaving the planet that you settled and going to find the other planets that humanity settled, making contact with them and interrelating with them.
And it is loosely connected to something comes back.
Well, this makes no sense to me.
Something comes back into your Beyond Earth game. They're like interconnected, right? Didn't they say that in some way that like what you do in this will affect Beyond Earth or vice versa? Or did I make that up?
You probably made that up.
I make up a lot of shit, man. I just say words and then hope for the best.
I think you made that up.
Players who purchase both Civilization Beyond Earth and Starship will unlock some form of cross-connectivity that will enhance and expand the depth of both game experiences, according to 2K. But there are no details yet on what form that connectivity will take. So there will be something, but it's not clear what.
I would rather they put a lot more effort into making Civ Beyond Earth more exciting as it stands, because that game I had really high hopes for, and it was not nearly as impressive as I thought it would be.
Yeah, but starships are hot right now, so you throw out a game with starships in the title.
I'm watching this trailer video here, and I still don't get what the fuck it is.
Well,
yeah, it's all concept art in motion.
Yeah.
Like, this is an announcement trailer, not a gameplay trailer.
I see.
This is all there is on it, though. That's the thing. So we know so little about this game now, other than that it has Sid Meier's attached to it, and it is loosely interconnected to Beyond Earth. And then they have a logo. See, as you can see, there's a logo. That's a logo of a game.
Well, that's awesome.
It's spring 2015, though, so it's actually not that far away. I feel like they should have more to show for a game.
Spring 2015? Yeah, they should have finished the damn game by now.
Pretty close.
in the announcement, they talk about how it's like Sid and a small team going aside into their own little corner of the office and working on it. So it's probably going to be a much more like indie scale experience.
Don't you think it would make sense?
It's going to be on the App Store too, so
yes,
you can.
It sounds like it's going to be available on
something right there.
It's not going to be big. Maybe
Yeah,
it's like maybe it's like that. What's that? That roguelike with the spaceship. Which
FTL.
Yeah, maybe it's like that, but with like prettier 3D graphics and stuff.
Yeah.
That could be possible. Yeah.
Anything Sid Meier's touches is at least worth looking at.
It at least won't be shit. It may not be amazing, but it won't be shit. He's never made out a game that's shit. I feel like they should just they should have capitalized on the newfound popularity of what's it called? The last franchise that Firaxis released.
XCOM.
Yeah, like that thing exploded, and I feel like I know they want to get back to their Civ roots and do other things, but like that game had a massive resurgence, and I feel like by not getting out in front of it and doing more, they're kind of, I don't know, they're going to let it get forgotten again. But
I think they should not touch the existing XCOM. I think they released a great game and a great expansion, and like let that be, because it's perfect, and the next thing they do could like soil it. You know, like they've done so well with that thing. Give us the next XCOM experience, but don't expand on the existing one.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, that's what I mean. The next one, definitely not
Okay.
more of the same one, but they should get a sequel to that out there
I can give you that.
while it's hot. Marty McFly in the chat wants to know: do we feel people under one should play GTA? We've touched on this
21,
topic.
not
21. What did I say? 41.
Under one.
No, people under one shouldn't. I think we've kind of touched on this before, but I think it's up to parental discretion to kind of decide what each individual parent thinks their kid can handle. Every kid is emotionally different. Like, I played violent games when I was a kid, and it didn't affect me in the slightest, but some kids play it, and you know what I mean? So it depends on the...
Yep.
It depends on the kid.
We like you guys said, we covered this before, but for the sake of the people who are in the chat and who are new here, like the thing I said and the thing that I still stand by is that it's not the playing of the games that's the problem. It's that the playing of the games early is sometimes indicative of less than great parental oversight, and that's where the real problem lies, is that when kids are being run rampant, I said sometimes, let me hedge, that oftentimes it's often indicative, not often, it is sometimes indicative of kids being, allowed to run rampant and find whatever they want and absorb whatever influences they want without any guidance.
Yep.
I think my parents got it for me for Christmas.
Well, there you go. I mean, they
Also, the original GTA was not nearly as obviously as graphic as like GTA 5. I mean, it was, but it was from the top. It didn't have the same like.
Well, nothing was that graphic
right
then. It was.
I mean, like Mortal Kombat was pretty graphic, but for the time, comparatively, because you were in close. I think the perspective of the original GTA's made it easy to distance from, because it was top down. You were killing basically circles with two little circles on the side that were their shoulders. Whereas GTA 5, like you really
killing the Hare Krishnas, that was awesome.
So. This next story's got me super fired up. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, which is what they're trying to find out. Out of the blue, just one day, I don't know what they were doing, but Hermanos was like, "Hey guys, it's been 21 months, so we're putting out some DLC for Rock Band 3. I don't know, whatever." And it wasn't like it was some special song. It was just like, "Yeah, we got a song from the Arctic Monkeys, Avenged Sevenfold, and Foo Fighters." So they put that out there, and it's like, well, clearly they're trying to like see if there's any interest. And then shortly after that, a survey came. I got one in my email, and they put it out on like Twitter and stuff, trying to gauge interest in a next-gen Rock Band game. So I filled everything out. Hell yeah, bring it on. I loved Rock Band. Be good. I'm so ready to. I still have my drums and my crawl space behind me here, and I actually have been considering pulling the drums out and streaming myself playing Rock Band on the channel. I thought that might be fun because I have multiple webcams, so I can make it look like, a stupid corny concert where I have like one webcam looking at me and another looking at the actual drums and stuff. So I was thinking about setting that up, but yeah, I am super ready for a new Rock Band game. I'm ready to get back in on some drums. I'm actually recording this very podcast on a Rock Band microphone right now as we speak. So
And you sound like shit now for some reason. What did you do?
I held the microphone up to the camera, which
Oh, right,
means
okay.
it's not near my mouth anymore, so people could see the
see.
proof is in the pudding. I'm rotating it so the logo's facing front. So
Oh, there we go.
I love Rock Band. How about you guys? You ready? Are you ready to drop like $200 on a bundle of plastic shitty instruments?
I liked the experience that was, but I also think I'm past it. Like that was huge in college when you could have people just from the dorm room next door just like walk over, you could pass that stupid plastic guitar around and play songs and have a lot of fun. But as like a dude living alone in my apartment, it's not the same thing for me.
Don't you have some peeps you can have over? I still have lots of peeps that are into the Rock Band thing, so.
I do, but my apartment's a pit. I wouldn't feel comfortable having anyone over.
Well, then clean your fucking house.
I suppose that is the solution. Or don't play
I would
Rock
totally
Band,
do
which
that,
is easier.
And I would expense it as a business expense.
I mean, I personally, I played a lot of Rock Band with my friends, going over people's houses and stuff. But I played a lot of Rock Band alone, just hanging out with the only drums. I wasn't that into the guitar. I played Guitar Hero before Rock Band existed, but once Rock Band came out, I never really played guitar anymore. But I would just sometimes for like an hour just sit and hang out, play some Rock Band, and by myself, put it away, and that was it. So
I was more into the singing games, drunk and alone.
Well, as you heard by my brief attempt at singing before, and that was only like half talk singing. Singing is not my strong point. I could never quite get the meters to line. I'd be like, I feel like I'm where I should be, but it says I'm like 7 octaves too high or too low, or not even octaves, 7 pitches too low. So
Okay.
I am just, I don't know what it is, but I am a horrendous singer. Just
Different people, different gifts. That's
Oof.
all it is.
I mean, I have a friend who's like an amazing singer. And he's like, oh, anybody can learn to sing, but I don't believe that I can learn to sing. I think I could take a lifetime of singing lessons and I would sound like crap no matter what happened. So I don't know. Maybe.
I agree, you would.
Yep. It's just I don't know. Singing is not my thing, but yeah, sitting behind the drums it's the most authentic of the experience. Well, singing's the most authentic, but I can't do that. So behind that, the drums are as close as you're gonna get. I always felt like the guitars was a little.
They're not, though. I used to play drums, and then I tried to play the drums on that, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is nothing like playing drums.
It follows the similar, type of rhythm. I mean, if you put them on expert, it's moderately close to actual drum tracking.
Yeah, no, right.
It's as close as you're gonna get. But they also have the pro drums, and then you're actually like replicating like the actual like note tracking of the drums with double bass and stuff like that. So, but that's where you get to like that drum set alone costs like $300.
Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully the survey shows that people are interested. Of course, a survey is different than people actually going out and spending $300. So people can easily say, yeah, I want a new Rock Band, but we'll see if they speak with their wallet.
Yeah.
So
how about the H1Z1 story? That was quite a kerfuffle this month.
yeah, they said that there would be no pay-to-win stuff in it. And then I guess someone on some streamer got an airdrop, and it had something in it that basically made them able to just kill stuff, right? Isn't that what happened? It was like a really powerful airdrop or something that they paid for.
I think that was something to the effect. So they said it wasn't going to be pay to win, and then they did have in the game a system of airdrop crates, which is you can pay for these airdrops, and they will drop in near your character, and they will contain a random assortment of helpful items. But you are not.
I thought it's because they were dropping in essential items, which they said
right,
would
but
not
it's
be purchasable.
But it's not going to. But it is a random array of things. You can't guarantee what item comes out of it. And so, what I think happened was that people were getting way too useful stuff from these airdrops. When the kind of stated goal of these airdrops was to create a gameplay experience around where the crate dropped, that everyone would rush for the crate, and then suddenly you'd have this big old killing spree.
Well, how is that paying then? One person's going to pay for a crate, and then they all get it? I don't get it.
Well, no. The person who gets to the crate and takes the stuff gets it. So you're not guaranteed that you're going. You would one person pays for the airdrop, but it's not guaranteed that the person who paid gets the stuff inside.
Who the hell would pay for that?
Well, they said in playtests that, and I firmly believe them on this part, is that in playtests, people, even if they didn't get the stuff in the crate, they felt like they had a fun experience that was worth paying for. You know, that like I've heard anecdotal stuff too about what is Extra Credits, which is a really good YouTube channel. They were talking about an MMORPG that had these things called like party balls or money balls, where basically you pay for them in the cash shop and you throw them out in town, but you, the person who threw it out, can't collect any of the stuff that pops out, but that it pops open and gives prizes to all the other players around you. And then it often created this spending spree of people who wanted to return the favor of
That's
just like creating
cool.
this party atmosphere. So
Yeah.
I can totally see people being like, yeah, I didn't get anything inside my crate, but look at all these people who got sniped off, and oh man, there was this huge crowbar fight right near it, and you know this, that, and the other. So I believe that they had the right thing at heart, but also they, number one, said it wasn't going to be a pay-to-win game, and that some people interpret this as, you know, pay-to-win if you can make good items spawn every once in a while, and that I don't know. Anyway, the important part, the other half of the story, is that after the huge backlash on it, Sony said, okay, until Monday, so it's over now, but until Monday we will give no questions asked refunds through Steam for anyone who's dissatisfied about it.
Which is very cool on their part, I gotta say, to actually...
Is it just me, or does this game look like complete crap? It looks like Counter-Strike, but a really bad version of it.
It's early access still. It's not
totally
done.
Finished. It's a beta alpha type of deal. But they were selling it for money.
Good,
so
because it looks really bad.
Yeah, I really hope...
Can we stop that, selling games for money that aren't even done?
Well, that's a whole thing. That's a whole other thing of things.
But James, you're funding the fun when you buy it early. You're funding the fun.
I don't mind funding games. It's selling them.
Yeah, but if you know what you're getting into, then whatever, you know, like, you know it's early, you know it's not done.
And this is another topic I've been over before, that you need to look at if you're paying for an early access game, you need to look at yourself as a venture capitalist, not a consumer. You're saying, I'm willing to take this product even in the state that it's in on the chance that I get a better product in the future.
I got no problem with it if as long as they know what they're getting into. That's all I care about. The consumers know what they're getting into, then that's fine. As long if they
it's all about being an informed consumer, but the problem is, you know, you've got, 13 to 17-year-olds who aren't being very informed consumers, and then having expectations that these games may or may not meet, and having a huge, backlash when it doesn't meet those.
So next story, Xbox One is back to 350. They did that limited holiday thing, and then they said, actually no, and we're gonna make it back to 400. And then they were like, no, okay, fine, it's 350 again for a limited time, but they didn't say how long. My guess is they just wanted to get another news cycle of idiots like us on podcasts talking about the fact that they put it back to 350 again, and here we are talking about it. So,
well, I'm glad we didn't give them the pleasure of that then.
Yeah, I know, right? We really got them good. So that's really all there is to say about that. If you want an Xbox One, 350 is not a bad price, but remember that's no Kinect.
Yeah, I think they still need to get their box into more homes. Like, that's the fact of the matter. You can only sell as many games as you have consoles. So.
Yep.
Well,
and then the last story. Wait, you forgot the last story of the day.
What? Guild Wars? Sub that. Who cares?
That Rob cares. This is
I care.
Oh, fine, whatever. Go on.
No, it's the briefest mention. Come on now. Guild Wars 2 has an announcement coming up on the 24th, but they've announced the name of the product is Guild Wars 2: Heart of Thorns. I'm a big Guild Wars 2 fan. Like, I'm still playing it today. They released a cool trailer. They've talked about a new Elder Dragon spawning and all that good stuff. But Guild Wars 2, it's a great alternative to WoW. Like, it creates a very different gameplay loop than WoW. It doesn't focus on the rating and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's buy to play, no subscription fee, so it's got that going for it. Anyway, I recommend you keep an eye on it, and I recommend you keep an eye out on the 24th when they go into what exactly Heart of Thorns is, because it has rekindled a lot more conversation about the game. And that's one thing that MMORPGs really struggle with, is because they're these ongoing products, but you can only dump so much money into marketing before it's like, okay, we need to have something new to say before we can justify spending this money again. So it's something I'm super excited for as a player, and hey, I recommend you try that game too. I may be streaming some of it on the Technophilia channel coming soon here.
I'm trying to convince Rob to one day a week come off of his fancy channel with his thousands of followers and come over to the slums here on Technophilia and stream some Guild Wars. I think that's a good game for the Technophilia audience, because his channel, they like hippie games like The Sims and stuff. So
the part where you deeply insult my taste in games is really helping to get me on the channel.
Well, hippy dippy games are fine if you enjoy that sort of thing.
Also, one more quick thing coming soon plug. If you like Shadowrun Returns and Shadowrun Dragonfall, the Shadowrun Hong Kong Kickstarter is on right now. So if you want another cool turn-based strategy RPG set in that cyberpunk magic world, they're already over 500,000 in funding, so it is definitely getting made with a lot of bonus features. But you can get in on that wagon and help get them through a few more stretch goals.
There you go. All right, James, take us home. But after James takes us home, we still got to give away, bros. So,
oh God, I need to go.
You don't have to stay for that part.
Super pissed.
So take us home.
All right, I'd like to thank you all for listening, whether that's in the podcast or live on Twitch TV. You can join us most Wednesdays at 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern America time. Is that the same time for you, Rob? Or are you different? You're Mountain Time or something?
Noon Central. Noon Central time.
Noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. And you can find the podcast at technophiliapodcast.com/speed/mp3 or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a review in iTunes. Follow us on Twitch. And don't bother with the other crap, because it doesn't really matter.